Hi, I'm Morgan Doremus with RT Book Reviews, and today I'm sitting with Jayne Ann Krentz. And don't take this the wrong way, but you were my first. My first romance novel, that is.
That dates me, but we won't go there. Let's not go with dates.
But I remember very, very clearly reading my first historical romance novel. It was Seduction, and I want to say 12, which is probably way too young for a book of that name.
No, I discovered my first romance novel at 13. It was the original version of The Chic.
Ooh, I like it. So we have something in common. I think we could be best friends. What do you think?
I think so too. I think something about 12 and 13 is when women start getting serious about the whole romance thing.
But I remember very clearly reading it, and I loved it because you had such strong heroines, and that really, for your historical romances, that can be something that you might not, especially when you first started writing, you didn't see all the time, was that really strong heroine. And so I read, Seduction, and then Surrender, and then Scandal, and got through the S's, and then went to the next letter, and I had such a good time with it, and you really started me down the road. But a few years ago, you took a little bit of a turn because you started putting in kind of metaphysical aspects into your stories, rather than just the pure romance. We got a little bit, I don't want to necessarily call it paranormal, but definitely kind of psychic abilities.
I think of it as the psychic edge. I don't do the paranormal.
No shapeshifters.
Well, I think there's a distinction within the paranormal between the psychic stuff and the supernatural stuff. And the supernatural stuff is what I don't do. The vampires, the werewolves, I mean, believe me, I tried. Every writer learns there are some fantasies that you might be able to enjoy reading them, but you can't necessarily write them. But the psychic thing I've always loved. And for years I just sort of snuck it into the books in little tiny ways, and it went under the radar as far as most editors were concerned. But with the Arcane Society, I brought it to the fore. And the Arcane Society quickly took over all three of my names because I discovered I just love doing it in all three worlds that I write, under my Amanda Quick name for the historicals, the Jayne Ann Krentz name for the contemporaries, the futuristics. It worked. It worked in all three worlds. And it let me, as a writer, do what I love to do best. My three favorite things are romance, suspense, and the psychic edge. I can't plot without the suspense element. I just can't do it. I always have to have at least one murder off stage somewhere. Because I like creating characters that solve the crime together, because facing the danger together builds the bond.
It also makes them into partners.
And the bond, it does. Adding the psychic element adds an intimate layer to the bond that I think most women get. Most women appreciate. And I think the reason so many readers can get into the psychic thing, even if they don't necessarily do paranormal or think of themselves as paranormal readers, is because we all have a sense of our own intuition. Ask any woman and she can tell you some story in the past that something told her to do something. She had a sense of something, and it was the right decision at the right time. And so we respect our own intuition. And I think for readers, it's just one step beyond intuition to go into the psychic realm, which is why I think it worked. I have, not willingly, but I should preface this by saying I never intended to end up with 3 careers. The goal was to find the one that worked and let the other 2 drop. I did not intend to become Amanda Quick and Jayne Ann Krentz and Jane Castle, but that's how it worked out. And what I've discovered is that my audience doesn't cross over very much. There is a crowd that will read me under all 3 names, but a lot of people know me only as Amanda Quick, or only as Jayne Ann Krentz, or only as Jane Castle, and they don't read the other 2. So the Arcane Society was my desperate effort.
Please, find all of the books, right?
I kept telling people, if you like my voice as Jane Castle, you're probably going to like it as Amanda Quick. It's not that different. I don't change with each book. It's only the landscape that changes. So to tighten that sense of crossover, I did the trilogies. I did 2 trilogies within Arcane, and the idea was that each book stands alone in the Looking Glass trilogy and the Dreamlight trilogy. But if you read one book and you want to know what happened to the artifact or what happened to the mystery, in the future, then go read the other 2 books.
No, and it's great because for your historicals, you get to see where the artifact was actually created. And then in the contemporaries, you see how maybe it can be used for either good or evil, yes. And then in the future ones, they're archaeologists looking back on artifacts that were created way, so it's a really, you really do get to follow that looking glass, or you really get to follow that artifact throughout the course of its existence, I guess.
And a lot of people found that quite fascinating. But I think I've run up against another kind of wall, which is the people who really only want to read me in the historical format or only in the contemporary format don't like feeling they have to cross over. So I've decided to untangle my 3 names once again. Each one will have its own track again, as it used to. And the first book that starts off this new Krentz approach, or whatever, desperate effort to save the career again here. The first book that sets up a new track for the Jayne Ann Krentz name is Copper Beech. And Copper Beech, it will still be romantic suspense with a psychic edge, but it starts a whole new series, and it's going to be called the Dark Legacy novels. The series is the Dark Legacy series. And this will take a family, this is the contemporary setting, and it will take a family empire which is founded on the discovery of rare earths, which everybody's talking about now as, as the key ingredient in so much of our modern technology. So this is what built the family empire. But in some point in the past, about 40 years in the past, the father figure discovered, whilst mining for rare earths, some rare crystals. And there was a terrible mine explosion, things got irradiated, and the echoes of that disaster are now going down through the future and affecting our hero in Copper Beech and the heroine, and leads to their adventure. And then after that, I will do the brother's story and then the sister's story. So it's going to be it'll be more like a trilogy thing, but it will all be in the contemporary setting and
within the same family.
And under the same name, Krentz.
Let's talk a little bit about your heroes and heroines, because your heroes I love. They have, of course, they have the physical abilities. They're very strong. They're very protective. But for me, why I love them is they're so smart.
Well,
they have a little of that professor in them.
I think my heroes and heroines reflect a fun, but I like everybody to be intelligent. I do not like stupid characters. I will say that. That goes without saying. I don't think readers like stupid characters. But I think that what unifies what I do with a hero and what unifies what I do with a heroine is that they are grounded in the heroic traditions. And by that I mean their characters are based on integrity, a sense of honor. They both have a sense of honor. They both have a sense of integrity, courage, determination, and the ability to love. They might have been burned in love. They might have a lot of issues.
All of your characters have been burned in love. They are so unlucky in love. But I guess it's good for us because then they can find their true,
That's
the true
why
person
they get
they're supposed to be with.
That's why they get the story. But I think that when readers react to my books, what they're really reacting to are those fundamental worldviews, right down to the sense of humor. You know, if you don't share my sense of humor, you probably don't read my books. And if our values are different, you probably don't read my books. I think that's what draws people to a particular author, is there's something in the author's voice that resonates with our own psyche, and that's your audience. And it will be different for every author. So.
Well, I can absolutely tell you that I resonate with your sense of humor. Again, that best friend, we can be best friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
you want to go shopping?
Oh, yes, I do, actually. We're here in New York City. Let's go. I want to thank you for being here today and talking with me. And I know that our audience is going to just absolutely love hearing more about this new track that you're taking and breaking your names up. But I know I'm still going to read all of them.
Well, an arcane may sneak back in, but you won't have to read the
Jones and Jones.
Yeah.
We will get more of that family. Maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to give them up, but no more having to read across all 3 names to get the whole story. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.